Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, Brothers in Arms World of Warships. In today's video, we're going to take a look at a game that I had in the Tier 7 American Heavy Cruiser, the Pensacola. I'm divisioned up with my fellow community and channel contributor Puddin597 and my good buddy Fatal Donuts. They are in their Tier 7 American Light Cruisers, the Atlanta, and we are playing some standard battle here on the map Neighbors. So, the reason why I wanted to show you guys this replay is not only because it's a fantastic game, but also just to dispel a few things that the Pensacola has unfortunately succumbed to. If you go anywhere on Reddit, the World of Warships forums, various blogging places, you'll all find threads very similar that, quote, the Pensacola is a bad ship. Now, let me get this straight. There are plenty of ships in the game that are a little more or less underwhelming. Ships that come to mind are the Karlsruhe at Tier 4 on the German cruiser side and the Izumo at Tier 9. They're ships that they just take a bit more skill to utilize properly, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad ship. As my buddy Puddin always points out to me, it doesn't matter how bad a ship is, at least on paper. What really matters is how bad or good the captain is. And while that certainly is the case, there are ships in the game which are certainly a bit underwhelming. However, the Pensacola, quite frankly, is not one of them. Now, I know what I'm saying right now is probably blasphemy to a lot of people, especially newer players that are used to playing their Clevelands at Tier 6 and probably did at least somewhat decent in them. The Cleveland is certainly a great Tier 6 light cruiser, but a Pensacola is honestly better. Yes, the Pensacola does not take hits from battleships well at all. This thing gets citadeled at every angle, every range from battleship caliber guns. Yes, its AA isn't too much of an upgrade over the Cleveland. It's only slightly better. It has a much worse concealment rating. It has a slightly worse bit of maneuverability, at least in terms of turning circle. Yes, these are all things that on paper are worse than the Cleveland. I'm not going to deny that. But what the Pensacola is, it's just not a Cleveland. The playstyle is completely different because of the atrocious concealment rating on this thing. You have to get in closer like a Cleveland, but the thing is you're going to be getting shot at a lot more in this ship than you would in a Cleveland. Again, the concealment is a major factor here. But what a lot of people, and I really think is the main issue between the Cleveland and the Pensacola, is people don't understand how to properly utilize these 203mm guns. The jump from the 6, or maybe it's 5-inch, I think it's 6-inch. The jump from the 6-inch guns, 6-inch guns, excuse me, to the 8 inches is quite a lengthy and arduous process. There's a lot of people that also think the York at Tier 7, which just got spotted on the enemy team, is a bad ship simply because you have a much longer reload in that thing. And you just can't mindlessly spam high explosive in the Pensacola. You actually have to know exactly what type of ammunition you should be firing at targets. And for instance, on my first salvo, I had armor piercing loaded and I shot at the enemy Miyoko, who's just at the fringes of my range. The Pensacola is excellent with armor piercing, and from here on out up the American cruiser line, the armor-piercing values, which they've already been exceptionally good on ships like the Omaha and the Cleveland, are even better on these 8-inch guns. And you can get some citadels and some penetrations and some really good damaging salvos at angles that you just simply wouldn't be able to do in ships that come from, say, the German or the Japanese lines. So we shoot our first couple salvos of the game. The first one registered some damage, about 3,036, and now I'm taking some shots at the Murmansk. However, the Murmansk does get taken out by Captain Bly1. Yep, that's it's an interesting name. Now I have armor piercing loaded here at the York. Now that York is only 7 kilometers away. I get a full broadside loaded. I get the nice shots out. And holy crap, that is some of the worst RNG I've ever seen in my life. 8 overpens, and I only do 3,000 damage. Something like that is so rare. Please take it with a grain of salt. I know I just got done talking about how great the armor piercing is on this thing, but yeah, that was pretty rough. I got my next salvo out against the enemy Omaha, who is sailing away, and I do 3,300 damage, get 4 more overpens. So yes, haters, keep on hating on these guns. Don't worry, things will get better here rather soon. And now take a look at the enemy Atlanta, who's 11.9 kilometers away. And what I'm doing right now here in the Pensacola is exactly what you need to do in this ship. I'm up here in the islands. I'm getting into close enough of a range where the mediocre shell arc and shell velocity on these guns don't really matter, and I'm still going to be able to get some really good damaging shots. And the enemy ships really won't have much time to get away. I'm up to just over 10,000 damage, and I get a pretty good salvo looking on the Atlanta, and there it is, first Citadel of the game, 6,500 damage. In the Pensacola, you can miss every single shot, and as long as you just get one Citadel, you're going to be doing around 5,000 damage, just slightly over, and it constitutes a successful salvo. But you do get 10 of these guns, and this is actually the best armament that you'll find on any of the mid to high tier American cruisers, at least in terms of the number of guns that you're able to shoot. The New Orleans, the Baltimore, and even the Des Moines do not get more than 9 guns. So I take some more shots just earlier at the Furutaka. I do about 3,000 damage. My aim was slightly off. It was just above the ship. I'm up to almost 20,000 damage, which so far has been a little underwhelming considering I've had quite a few targets sitting completely good broadside. I do, however, land 3 more penetrating shots, 1 overpen and a Citadel on the Omaha, doing about 7,000 damage. And he's down to 10,000 health. And as you can see here, I treat the Pensacola slightly like I do my Russian destroyers. I like to get in as close as I can, and then I turn away, and using the cover and possibly the concealment that the islands will provide me, begin to shoot at targets of opportunity as I'm sailing away, which gives me plenty of time to be able to turn the ship and get out of harm's way. Especially at these ranges, when American cruisers are shooting at you, you have plenty of time to be able to get out of the way. Looking for a shot here on the Omaha. He's still sailing broadside. I get my the rear turrets into action against the Omaha. Shots are looking pretty decent, and there we go. Another Citadel, 5,060 damage done, and we're now up to 31,000 damage, which, if I were to die right now, it's an okay number in the Pensacola, but there's going to be a lot more than 31,000, that's for sure. So at this point, 5 enemy ships have already been taken out of the game, and we hold a commanding lead over the enemy team, and we're about to make it number 6. The Svietlana, the Tier 4 Russian cruiser, just turns broadside to me, looking for a good shot. Shells fall in, and holy crap, a lot more overpens. But regardless of the overpens, I still did about 5,000 damage, and you can't complain with 5,000 damage on a broadside cruiser. Yes, it'd be lovely to get those Citadels, but 5,000 damage is still 5,000 damage that he's never going to get back. So we've basically wiped out everything that has come into the middle islands here. And now I'm looking at this enemy Colorado that is moving through the middle. I see that an enemy Furutaka and 2 Miyokos have also moved down to the southwestern part of the map, at least in relation to where we spawned at. And it looks like that they're going to be trying to make a move against our cap. So really the only credible enemy threat that is left is all of those ships. So I decide, along with my division mates, that we're going to go over there and try and stop this. But first of all, we have to deal with, obviously, the most dangerous ship out there, the Colorado. Now, all of those overpen salvos with the armor piercing that you saw earlier, pretend those never existed, because from here on out, this is exactly why American Cruiser AP is so potent. I get my first broadside salvo out at the enemy Colorado. He's at 12.8 kilometers, which is a pretty reasonable engagement distance, and I score 6,500 damage. All right, what a great opening salvo on that enemy Colorado. I get my guns reloaded. They take about 15 seconds flat to reload. It is slightly longer than the York and the Miyoko. However, these guns, again, they hit really hard if your aim is true. Shells falling in, and 7,400 damage done to the Colorado. We've done about 14,000 damage to that enemy Colorado on 2 salvos. What damage? I mean, this is why the Pensacola is overlooked, and people hate it, because they just do not get used to the new playstyle that you have to adopt. My rear turret's doing about 2,000 damage to the Colorado again. I pull a Notzer, well, of course, and run into the island. However, I am going to try and get back out of dodge, and I've actually thrown the Miyoko's aim off quite a bit by turning away and then running in, backing up, and then turning away yet again. I shoot a next broadside at the enemy Miyoko. My aim has been just slightly high. If I need to aim just a little bit farther down, you see the shells are falling in, and they just hit above in the superstructure. However, I still am able to get 4,500 damage done with that last salvo, hitting half of the shots. More shots are out against the enemy Miyoko, and I like the new shells. In a couple patches ago, they updated the way that the shells look, and they fly a lot better. At least the Aslan's mod that I'm referring to is why the shells are blue and red, and they really stand out on the map a lot more so than the old one that I use. So it's a lot easier to see where your shots fall, so you can get some good salvos and adjust your aim. And the last 2 salvos that I've done to that Miyoko have been about 9,000 and 7,000 damage apiece, and he's on 1k health. All of a sudden, we're up to 76,000 damage after only about 5 salvos, and there's still plenty more work to be done. The Miyoko has certainly turned away as he is about to die. The enemy Colorado is on fire. He has recovered a little bit of his hit points, but now I'm getting ready to shoot. Now, you see he's angled in, and you treat it just like a German cruiser, or quite frankly, any cruiser for that matter. He's bow in, so I'm going to switch to high explosive. And the high explosive on the Pensacola is certainly not bad whatsoever. It's not Japanese, it's not Russian, but it's certainly better than the Germans. The Colorado starts to turn a little bit, and I take it that he's about to show quite a big broadside, so I do shoot my one high explosive salvo at him. And at this angle that he's presenting me, I will certainly be able to do a lot of damage with my AP. 5,100 damage done there with that high explosive salvo, setting him on fire yet again. He continues to burn, and at this point, the enemy Furutaka appears at more or less full health on our cap. Yes, he is indeed at full health. My shots going out on the Colorado do manage to hit and do about 3,000 damage. Now, you're going to see here just how deadly this armor-piercing penetration is. This is something that you just could not do in a Cleveland at even 10 kilometers in, I guess, only at point-blank range. I get 3,000 damage done right through the bow of that enemy Furutaka. And, yeah, I really don't think that those 6-inch guns on the Cleveland would certainly be able to go through something like that. I do switch to a high explosive for this salvo because I figured that the Furutaka was going to stay completely angled into me, which is really the only protection that you have. Presenting any little bit of a broadside is going to be extremely detrimental to your health. And I see that the other enemy, Miyoko, has appeared at the fringes of my range, so I do get the AP loaded in time and send a salvo way down range. Looking at the shots, they actually look pretty well, and he has stayed on the same course. Oh yeah, Confederate, 11,000 damage done, 2 Citadels. Wow. And this Furutaka right here is providing way too much broadside. Yep. 12,000. Back-to-back salvos of over 11,000 damage. I get the high caliber on that one, and we're up to 121,000 damage done. 9 Citadels, 112 shell hits, 2 fires set, 1 ship destroyed. Holy crap. I get my rear guns on the enemy Colorado. He has 6,000 health. And with only the rear turrets on 2 penetrating hits and 2 overpens, I'm able to do about 4,000 damage. And the enemy Colorado takes it. He is now heading to Davy Jones's locker. Wow. That was just awesome. I don't know about you guys, but you see here, the Cleveland, man, people just think that, hey, I spammed HE for my entire time playing the Cleveland, and again, a lot of noobs do it. I'm not calling them out. I'm just saying, if you want to get better with your American cruisers and you get to the Pensacola, you have to change your playstyle. You can't just be running in there. And, you know, obviously, things about the Cleveland that are a little bit better is it has a better Citadel than the Pensacola. It is way smaller. So a lot of people get into that mindset of, oh, I've never really taken too many big hits in the Cleveland, so the Pensacola should be the same thing. It's a heavy cruiser, right? Well, that's not the case at all. This Miyoko is completely bow into me. However, as long as I keep closing the distance, eventually that armor piercing is going to start piercing right through the front. So I shoot one more salvo of high explosive at him, do a solid 3,200 damage. And now he's ever so slightly increasing his broadside to me, even if he is still relatively bow in. It's only a matter of time before these shells penetrate through the hull. Alright, 2,200 damage done. He shoots his forward turrets at me. Due to the pretty good rudder shift time, I'm able to easily get out of the way. Swing my ship back just a little bit. Get the rear turrets going. And it's at this angle that this is going to be a Citadel right here. Yep, 1 shell goes through for a Citadel. 4 penetrating hits do about 6,200 damage. And the Miyoko gets taken out. Last enemy ship destroyed. And we take care of the victory. Taking a look now at the post-battle results, 348,000 credits earned, 7,237 total experience, Confederate and high caliber, 137,690 damage done off of 10 Citadels, off of 137 target hits, 1 ship destroyed, 2 fires set. Looking at the team score now, 2,353 base XP certainly tops on the team by a very wide margin, and my presence was felt all across the battlefield. Taking a look now at the detailed report, 119,000 of the damage done was caused by armor-piercing shells. You can see here just how potent this armor-piercing is, and it's only going to continue to get better with the subsequent cruisers in the American line, so just remember, when you're playing the Pensacola, it is not a Cleveland. You cannot go charging in there. You cannot rely on your armor terribly well, at least against battleship caliber guns. You cannot rely on just being an idiot, getting way too close. You're going to get destroyed extremely fast. You have to change your playstyle. You have to sit at medium to long range, at least in terms of the Pensacola's range, and deal damage with your armor-piercing. It is something that you need to adjust to, and just because you need to adjust to a different style of gameplay does not mean that the ship sucks. Anyway, glad that I got this video out there. I really am trying to help you guys out with some of these videos and just show you exactly how you should be trying to play these ships. Please leave the video a comment, give it a like, maybe subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video enough. The Sneaky Snake here for Brothers in Arms World of Warships. Have a great day.